Hey everybody, what's up? Tim here with this week's Faith on Fire post. Hope wherever you're at, you are doing phenomenal. Thanks so much for watching, and hope you are expecting God to show up in your life in a huge way. Title for today's clip is Squash Your Fear. And what I want to share with you today is a tool that I learned and that I use all the time to squash fear and absolutely run it out of my life. And I learned this in a really real and practical way. And when you use this tool, not only can you squash fear, but you can use it to squash discouragement and anxiety and worry and anything that is not working for you, anything that doesn't align with what we're promised in the Word, you can use this to run out of your life. So the situation that I encountered was for years, I would wake up in the middle of the night and there was like this just presence of oppression and fear and dread and terror that I'd wake up to the point where I couldn't move and I couldn't even speak. And it was really alarming because I don't suffer from panic attacks and I really don't struggle with things like that. But this was just anything beyond something that I've experienced it. I couldn't figure out what to do, and I experienced it until finally one day when I woke up, or one night when I woke up, I started to quote the 23rd Psalm. And I started to go through it. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And I was saying this barely under my breath because, like I said, I couldn't hardly even speak. And then I got to the verse that said, and even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And when I got those words, even though they were super quiet out of my mouth, that feeling, that spirit, that whatever you want to call it, that terror, that dread, that paralyzing fear broke. And I remember how powerful it was. And it showed up a couple times after that happened, but after a while it disappeared altogether. And what I found is anytime fear or worry or anxiety shows up, the number one way to break it is to start to speak God's word to it. So all you need to do is say to that fear, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for he is with me. And you speak those words to it. And you say, I will not fear you because he is with me. I will not fear you because he is with me. Because what I found is your fear is either going to talk to you or you're going to talk to it. And whichever voice is the most powerful is the one that's going to prevail. And in our own voices, we're not super strong. But when we speak what God speaks, there's no power that can stand against that. No fear, no worry, no anxiety, no discouragement can stand against that. The other aspect that's really important is what the verse says. And the verse says that I won't fear, not in my own strength, but I won't fear because he is with me. And when we start to develop a presence and awareness of God being with us all the time, that changes everything. Think about that. God is with you wherever you go, in the meeting with the boss, in your relationships, when you're on the road, when you're at the mall, no matter where you are, God is with you. And that's like having all the support, all the backing in the world we could ever hope for. So when you start speaking those words, not only are you telling fear that God is protecting me, but you're reminding fear that God is with you, and you're reminding you that God is with you. So anytime you get a fear that hits you, big or small, intense or not intense, or an anxiety or a discouragement or a worry, just simply use that verse. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And that valley of the shadow of death can be anything. It can be a fear of death. It can be a fear of bankruptcy. It can be a fear of failure. It can be a fear of success. It can be whatever looks like death to you. But when you start to speak to that fear with that verse, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for he is with me. Not only does it destroy that fear and send it running, but it reminds fear and you of whose you are and of who is with you. And when you get God-minded, when you start to practice his presence, you're unstoppable. And you get a peace and a calmness and a joy that just can't be explained. And as you practice this more and more, you'll start to see it grab more and more and work for you more and more. So that is one of the most powerful tools that I found that sends fear absolutely packing. I would encourage you, try it, use it. Do not fear, for he is with you. This is Tim with this week's Faith on Fire. Have an awesome day. I'll talk to you soon.